The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Rudy Jansen here, and welcome to this webinar called Finish 2013 Before It Even Starts. So just to make sure that you can actually hear me, can I just ask you to just go into the little control panel and in the chat box just type something or raise a little hand on the side as well, so I can just make sure that you can actually hear me. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, fantastic. So let's get straight into this thing. Go to the next screen. So this morning is meant to be quite an interactive webinar. So I want you to take part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a little poll. So I'll just click the right buttons here. So the question is, how long have you been in business? Less than 2 years, 2 to 7 years, or more than 7 years? So if I can just launch this poll on my screen here. So you'll see the options there. And if you tick one of the buttons there, so less than 2 years, 2 to 7 years, or more than 7 years. And we'll take about 5 seconds for you to just be able to click a button there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll close that poll and then share the results with you. And we can see that from this morning's audience, most people have been in business for more than 2 years, so half the audience 2 to 7 years, and the other half more than 7 years. So, hey, that's fantastic. So we know that there's no newbies in our audience this morning. And then let me just hide that poll as well. So that's what I mean by being interactive this morning. I'm going to ask you questions so that you can type the answers and also the polls. So let's get into the next screen then. So this morning, I'm going to go through this very quickly, and you'll find that I speak fairly fast as it is, but I'm going to go through it fairly fast, so make sure that you've got pen and paper, so you can make notes as we go along. So the first section of the webinar is going to be a bit about me, just to give you a bit of background about myself, and then the info I'm going to share with you today. I think it's really, really important because it's going to really help you hit the ground running in 2013. And the stuff I'm going to share with you today really changed my life. And then also in the webinar, I'm going to give you also a lot of tools. So at the end, I'll also explain to you how you can access those tools. And I'm going to ask you to, for any questions, if you have, please keep them till the end, and we'll have space at the end for the questions. So the first question is, why do so many businesses fail? You know, we've seen loads and loads of businesses fail, and we can look back and say, well, it's a recession, but yet, whenever we look in any industry, you know, in any industry, there will be businesses that succeed and others that fail within that same industry. So we can't just say, well, it's the recession, or this or that. And for me personally, what I believe is one of the main reasons why businesses fail, or business owners eventually give up, is because of burnout. You know, over years and years of just keep on doing stuff that should be working, but somehow isn't, and eventually get to this place of burnout, and a lot of business owners just give up. And that's when the business fails. And, you know, they're saying if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll be getting the same results. So a bit of background about myself. I qualified as a chartered accountant in South Africa, and I worked both in accounting practices and also in commerce. And for me, one of the reasons why I became an accountant was because I had this value of freedom, and I want real freedom in my world, and that is both financial as well as time freedom. And I thought that by becoming an accountant, it would give me that. And to be honest, you know, from a financial perspective, it was okay. I wouldn't quite class it as freedom, but from a time perspective, I was working all hours of the day. So it didn't really give me that. Now, I've always believed there's a recipe for everything in life. Now, whether that's an atom bomb, or a chocolate cake, or a very successful business. If you find the recipe, you follow the recipe, you should have a predictable result. And in the accounting world, when I started looking for this recipe for successful businesses, I couldn't really find it. And my approach has always been if somebody says to me, you can't do it, then I go to the other extreme and will almost kill myself, proving that it can be done. So a number of years ago, probably 6 years ago now, I left the accounting world and I set up my own business as a business coach. And because for me it's always been, what is this recipe to help businesses become successful? And by being a business coach, and this is what I do full time, this is what I specialize in, it's all I focus on, let me figure that out and work with my clients to get there. And so I developed a business model to help my clients. And even I was quite amazed at how successful this model was right in the beginning. And yet, despite the fact that I got fantastic results for my clients, I went through a massive learning curve in my own business. I didn't know all that much about marketing, and I didn't know all that much about finding the right staff, and all kinds of challenges come up in business. And for me personally, I eventually got to a point of, should I give up with this? Because this is just a bit too much. I got to that place of drowning. And that's when this guy crossed my life. Now, most of you probably know about Tim, yeah? So his name is Tim Ferriss. And what is really amazing about Tim Ferriss is I think he's now probably about 34. But so many things. One of the things that he's done is that he took part in the Chinese kickboxing national championship. And he was the first non-Chinese to ever win it. Then he went into dancing and he set a Guinness World Record for tango. He was the first American to ever do that. He wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, which went straight to #1 in New York Times best-selling list. And when he finished school, he could only speak English. Now I think he's fluent in something like 4 or 5 or maybe even more languages. So when I came across Tim the first time, I thought to myself, is this guy just a pure genius, or is he doing something that the rest of us just aren't so aware of? And this following screen, this is the crux of it, so really pay attention here. One of the things that really stood out for me from what Tim was saying, one of the things, as an example, he was saying about the Spanish language. He was saying that in Spanish, there's something like 100,000 words. And if you learned about 2,500 of those words, you would be 95% fluent in the language. And if you immerse yourself in it, it would take you about 5 months to learn those 2,500 words, to become 95% fluent. And yet for somebody to become 98% fluent, they probably need to learn 10 to 20,000 words. And yet the differential from 95% to 98% is negligible. It almost doesn't matter. And the key being here that when you identify the 2.5%ers, the stuff that makes the difference, and you focus on that, it changes your entire world. It changes your business, your whole life. And when this really clicked into place for me, my entire life changed as a result. And this is stuff that I use now with my clients as well to get fantastic results. And much of what I'm going to be sharing with you today is based on this stuff. And that brought me to a place where, this 2.5% ripple made such a big impact on me. And for me, it's about going back and sharing this knowledge with the world, with my clients, with everybody I come across. So let's take a look at 2 painters. The one has done lots and lots of painting before, but he's a bit disorganized. So an ad hoc basis he goes. So this painter on the left-hand side, he wants to paint his house, and him and a friend are in a race to paint the houses. So he goes and he gets some stuff from his local B&Q, and he gets yellow paint, and then he starts painting, and after a while he realizes, I've forgotten something. I've forgotten the blue paint. So off he gets in his car, and off he goes to B&Q again, and he comes back, and he has his blue paint. And then after a while he realizes, I haven't got the rollers. And then he, in his car again, off he goes to B&Q, and that's his approach. Then the person he's racing against actually hasn't done any painting before. So he takes a very different approach, which is, I'm going to slow down, I'm going to really get to understand, I'm going to speak to people who've done this before, get to understand the whole process, write it down properly, And then once I've done that, then I'll go to B&Q and get all the stuff I need, and then I'll start the job. So between the two of them, who's going to take the longest to do the job and have the most hassle? And it's probably the person on the left-hand side who is unplanned and ad hoc. And, if this is how we approach our year as a person on the left-hand side, that's some of the kind of results we're going to get, and will have had in the past as well. Now, let's just go to the next screen here. There was a guy called Gordon Haller who was a champion in Ironman competitions. And he came up with the saying that the environment is always perfect. It doesn't matter as an Ironman, in an Ironman competition, whether you're going to the roughest sea or the wind is howling. It doesn't matter what the environment is. It is perfect. And it is what it is. So it's about how I adapt to that and how I change what I'm doing to survive within that in order to still win the race. And as business owners, our environment is always perfect. It is what it is. Whether we go into a recession, coming out of it, whatever might be going on, half your staff have left you, or you've lost your 3 biggest clients, it is what it is. And it's how we adapt and change ourselves and our mindset to cope with that. It's really, really important. Now, this slide here, the power of planning and written goals, and some of you may have come across this, but a study was done at Harvard University many years ago, and I think they took about 2,500 students, and they asked the students what their goals were for their lives. And 3% of them wrote their goals down, 27% had verbal goals that said what they wanted to achieve, and 70% had no written or verbal goals or plans. And then they went back to these people 25 years later, and they noticed that the 3% who wrote their goals down, within that group, 98% of the wealth of the whole group was within that small group. Now, we might say, well, that's just coincidence, but those stats are pretty high numbers. So I think there's a lot to be said for when you take a pen and paper and you write your goals down, and planning and writing it down. Big, big thing. Now, I'm going to make a statement here. A big, big statement in big, bold letters. And this bit is really, really important, so pay attention to it. The statement is, your net worth follows your calendar. And this is so important. I'm going to ask you to actually please write it down on the paper right now. Write it down. Your net worth follows your calendar. Because when we plan our calendars in advance, whether it be on an annual basis, a weekly basis, or a daily basis, your net worth will follow that. And I'll explain to you a bit later what I mean and how this fits in. But when you've got a calendar that is planned, you will become more productive. Your net worth will increase dramatically. So here's just an example of one of my clients who, yes, her calendar is very well planned. And, Claire Brady, when she's a solicitor based in Nottingham, and she says her business increased almost tenfold in the last 2.5 years. She's only working 3.5 days, and with that intention reducing by the end of 2012. And quite an amazing result, considering that we were coming through, we're still really, I suppose, kind of in a recession, and yet, despite that, and solicitors not having the best of time, her business increased by tenfold because she's organized and planning into minor details. So, 5 steps before you start. And again, I'm going to explain more about how this will work. But to get a yearly planning folder, because you'll understand today through this webinar, it's about really planning in detail. Then organize at least one day to complete your plan. And for me this year, I've taken out, in this first week in January, I've taken out 2 days. And 2 days were just focused on planning the next 12 months. 2 whole days. Then also print out all the documents I've given you already, and which you'll still see within this webinar. And if you want any of those documents, just send me an email and I'll email them back to you. Then in that calendar, put your holidays and your time out in first. And again, I'm going to come back to why this is so important a little later. And then also, make a decision that this year is going to be your best year ever. It doesn't matter what happens. This is going to be your best year. Because if you make that mental decision, it will go a massive, massive way towards you actually having a fantastic year this year. Now, people overestimate what they can do in 12 months, but they underestimate what they can do in 5 years. And that is an interesting mind play thing that happens there. Because, and I know as a business coach, often when I ask my clients, tell me about where you're going to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, often for a lot of them, the goals are much less than what I know they're able to achieve. And I actually have to push and say, no, I think it's much bigger that you're capable of. And yet, the 12-month goals, often when it's not aligned with a longer-term goal, is way more than they should be expecting. And then as the year goes by, I think, oh, I haven't achieved my goals. And actually, the reality of those goals were that they were just too big for the short time period. So again, for yourself, just have an awareness of what are your long-term goals and your 12-month goals. And actually on that, I'm going to ask you to write this down right now. What are your top 3 business goals for this year? So just take about 10 seconds for that and write down what are your top 3 business goals for this year. And I'll just wait whilst you do that. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And also, again, the magic of just focusing on top 3, because if we have 20 goals, it's just so much when we have top 3. So I'm actually going to ask you to type into your little chat box, what are some of your top 3 goals for this year? So just so we can see some answers there and just share with the audience as well. So I'll wait for you to start typing that in now. Just type in your top 3 business goals into the little chat box there. I can see 10 new direct clients, great. Double the business, fantastic. Earn a consistent salary, brilliant. Reduce borrowing, yeah. Better customer base, yes, there's some good answers there. Increase revenue by £50,000, good. So we can see there are some good answers there, and you know, it's quite amazing what happens when you do know your top 3 goals. And again, later on I'll show you where this will fit into what we're doing, because it brings focus in. And then once you've started your top 3 goals, you know, this whole thing, commitment to the strategy is more important than the strategy itself. And I suppose a bit like a marriage, you know, it takes years, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not so good, but the commitment to it, and whether it be those goals that you mentioned there, committing to that, doesn't matter, even if it doesn't work initially, if you just commit to it and you'll stick with it and actually figure it out, but commit to that one strategy. So if it's, I'm going to figure out a new marketing strategy, then stick with this one strategy until you've knocked it on the head and you've nailed it, and then go to the next thing. Because if you try and do a number of different strategies at the same time and not actually mastering any of them, you actually don't get anywhere either. Now, this concept here is really, really important. So, again, pay close attention to what I'm about to say. So, if you look at the glass there, we've got sand in there, and, well, there should be little pebbles and then big rocks. Now, what a lot of people do is they take the glass, and they say, okay, I've got to get sand, pebbles, and the rocks into my glass. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the sand and pour it in. Then I'm going to take my pebbles and pour them, and then take my big rocks. And when we take that approach, what we often find is that the big rocks don't actually fit in. And what we really want to do is turn it around slightly, in that we put our big rocks in first, then we take the pebbles and we put them in and we shake the glass, and then we put the sand in and we shake the glass again. And when we do that, we find that all of it somehow fits into the glass. And what this goes back to is that as you plan your year, it's really important that you put your big rocks in first. And what are our big rocks? Again, just take a few seconds to think to yourself, what in your world are the big rocks for you? The stuff that really shouldn't wait till last, stuff that you should get in first. And I'll give you a hint here. If you go back over the last 12 months, what is it that gave you the most fun and enjoyment in your world? So again, I'm going to ask you just to type in a few options here. So go into your keyboard and just type in what you reckon are the biggest rocks for you. So we've got your Chris saying sticking to the diary. Yeah, very good. And marketing, finding the right staff. Well, it's interesting that those are big rocks. And at the same time, the thing that actually makes the biggest difference is things like holiday and fun time out. Yeah, let's see. Holidays, personally fulfilling time out, client visits. Yes, and I'll go back again to big rocks, family time, fun times. Those are, when we look back to last year, what has given us the most enjoyment? It's usually, quite frankly, holidays and time away. So into our calendars, have we already booked away our holidays, as an example? So again, deciding those big rocks, putting them into your calendar before anything else, because the rest will all somehow still fit in. It's just how life works. And another big thing, again, I'm going to make a statement to you as a business owner, which I wouldn't necessarily repeat your staff in quite the same way. But in your business, you are the most important person. Because, quite frankly, if you lose it, then your staff don't have the leader. Therefore, the business potentially might fold, and your clients or your customers have nobody either. So actually, in your business, you are the most important person. So, when I say invest in yourself, follow people who really are doing things that you want to do or teaching that. Go on courses. Make yourself the best that you can be. Because when you are healthy, fit, enthusiastic, excited, and totally with it, then your team will follow you because you're this fantastic, vibrant leader, and therefore the whole thing just works. So a big saying for this next year, to really consider investing in yourself. And even, the idea of a chess player. So a chess player goes and he finds this chess master. And this chess master says to him, listen, I will teach you 3 moves, but with these 3 moves, you will win 80% of all the games that you play. And yes, I'm going to charge you for it, but when you've got the 3 moves, you'll have the results. And does our chess player say to himself, well, no, I don't think so because I'm just going to carry on by myself? Or does he invest in himself and learn the 3 moves and get results? So again, for yourself this year, considering investing in yourself and doing things like that. This next screen is very, very important. And, well, saying clarity is powerful. Now, you'll see that little 0 to 10 and lights off on the left-hand side. 5 is neutral. 10 is lights on. So right now, if you give yourself a rating 0 to 10 of how clear you feel, how much clarity have you got, 0 to 10, because the closer you are to 0, the more confused, the more foggy, the more drained, the more uncertain, the more accidental, the more limited choices you have. If you go to the right-hand side, the more clear you are, the more powerful, the more certain, more on-purpose, energized possibilities, and in flow you are. So wherever your rating is right now, we want to get it to 10. And really, if this is not a strength of you right now, then we want to probably work on that in the first quarter. Because the more clarity you have, the better it just works. So let's do another pause there quickly, just a quick one. My current clarity rating, 0 to 3, from 0 to 10, 0 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 10. So let's just launch that as a poll. And again, we'll take about 10 seconds on this. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll close that one and share it with you. So an interesting one here, because 75% 4 to 6, 25% 0 to 3. So guys and girls, definitely, clarity is one of the big things, because when you've got this right, it works. When you're sitting at a 0 to 3 or a 4 to 6, then you're sitting in that foggy place. So we definitely want to work on, I say we, go and make sure that you focus on this and get it sorted and get clear on what you want. And later on in this webinar, I'll explain to you how you can go about doing that. So let's just get back to the screen here. So next question, why do people stay where they're at? So let me give you an example here. Here's a couple, and they weren't happy with their lives. They took part in a reality TV show for a bit of a makeover. And this is what they looked like after the makeover. And then, after the TV show, 2 weeks later, they looked like this. And they were asked, well, why are you going back to where you were? And they come, well, it doesn't just fit us, it's not me, it's all that kind of stuff. But the real reason why people go back, why we so afraid of change, and why is it easier to stay in our comfort zone? And the answer is fear. False expectations appearing real. And the biggest fear that a lot of people have is, what will other people think of me? My friends or whoever it is. It's one of those big fears. And this is really one of the things where you want to push yourself to move out of your comfort zones and face your fears. Because the more fears that you face, the more you will grow, and the quicker you will grow. So your comfort zone, so this whole thing about, you mean you can attend a seminar, learn how to change every week, and then go back to your old you? Well, no. And part of what I do as a business coach is about expanding my clients' comfort zones. Because when you expand out of your comfort zone, you will implement things and put things into your business that will take you to a whole new level. Not just in your business, but in your life. So 5 concepts before we get into the planning thing here. Is number 1 is what I call the reluctance model. Second one, operate from genius, theme your days, manage your energy, not your time, and in sprints. So those are the subheadings for what's about to follow. So let me show you the first one. Now, this one is a really important one as well. And again, this one made such an impact on me the first time I came across it. And again, write this down because it's so valuable. But the reluctance model says that stuff comes in, problems come in, opportunities come in all the time. And what we're going to get into here, and it's a mindset thing, this, of saying, no, this is not for us as a business. No, this is not for me. And it's really, okay then. So let's take an example of a man standing in a queue at McDonald's. And in his hand, he's got a chainsaw. It's switched off. And he eventually gets to the front of the queue, and he asks the person behind the counter, please, can you fix my chainsaw? And of course, the answer is, no, that's not what we do. But as smaller business owners, medium-sized business owners, often we have this thing about, no, we might not do it, but okay, give it to me, I'll see if I can figure it out. And that takes up so much energy and effort. So this reluctance model, when you get this into your mind about saying no, and it's okay to say no, which actually means that you're having more opportunities to say yes to the right things, it will shift your life dramatically. So if it's not something you're doing at the moment, it's a lot of fun when you start focusing on this. The next thing is a stop doing list. Now, often we have to-do lists. We've got to-do lists left, right, and center. But how many of us actually have stop doing lists? And a stop doing list is incredibly powerful because linking to the reluctance model, when you decide what you will not do, it is so liberating. So for me as an example, I'll give you some examples here. I will not do administration. And it's not that I can't do this stuff, but it's on my stop doing list. I don't want to do this stuff. I don't want to go 2 months without a holiday, usually. I absolutely do not want to work with negative clients. I will not. I never say yes to opportunities outside of my expertise. I will not change my personality. And I will not visit a prospect unless I've completed the questionnaire. So there are just a few examples. But when you sit down and you write a list down of, these are things I will not do. I mean, one example there that I was speaking to another client was just last week, is that he was saying he doesn't do his lawn anymore. So he's got a gardener, so he doesn't do the gardening. And I'm thinking, you know, I don't think I've touched my lawnmower in about 3 years, because it's one of the things I will not do. I'd rather pay somebody else. I don't know, my gardener charges me £12 to come and mow my lawn. And it takes him probably 20 minutes to do when it would have taken me 3 hours. Now, for that kind of money and that kind of time saving, I'd be stupid not to, well, in my opinion, okay? So that's one of my things on my personal not-to list as well. Very, very powerful when you create a stop-doing list. Now, again, just an example of a guy, Andrew Rhodes is one of my clients, and fantastic with focus and knowing what he mustn't do and what he must do and where his focus needs to be. But last year, Andrew won, and his company won the British Accountancy Awards 2012 winner. So just to put that into perspective, you know, in the UK, there are something like 18,000 independent accounting firms. And each year, one of those firms is chosen as being the best. And in November last year, that was Andrew's company was chosen for that. So, you know, these guys, well, Andrew is the managing partner. You know, he totally knows how to focus and keep the stuff and saying no to what is not his. And as a result, he's able to say yes to what is important and therefore become incredibly productive and get results like this. Now this next bit, operate from genius. Now, looking at Albert Einstein here, and I think it's, you know, we recognize that he probably tapped into a part of his brain that most of us don't, or don't often. And what this is about is to say, when you step away from your business and you have that silent space, you actually are able to see better. So as an example, is a new farm hand starts working at a farm, and he's looking after the cows, and they're close to a fence, and suddenly the cows break through a gate in the fence, and they're all rushing through. And the cow thinks, oh, it's my first time, I'm going to be fired, and he rushes over and he's trying to push the cows back so they can't break through, but they're much stronger than him. And this whole herd is busy breaking through here. And eventually the old farmer comes along, and he looks at this from a distance, and he walks closer, and he grabs the gate, and he shuts the gate, which is, in hindsight, so damn obvious. But the farm hand, because he was involved in it, he just couldn't see it. And that's what happens when we step aside and, you know, however we do that, where you go and take a walk in nature, whether you meditate or just take some time out to breathe. Take a day out of, if you take a day a month out from your business and just go drive somewhere and just relax the whole day, you will access this part of you as well, because you get this space to think. Because a lot of business owners just don't have the time to think, or we don't make the time to think. So if you haven't done it in the past, create the space for it. Again, plan it into your diary. Then it can happen. Now this next one, are you in the zone? And this is about time management. And the reality is, you know, I just think time management is a lot of nonsense. We don't manage time. We manage events, and we manage ourselves. Events happen, and we can choose what we can do with that. And most importantly, we manage ourselves and our own disciplines about things. Now, there's 4 zones there. Not urgent, not important, urgent and not important, urgent and important, not urgent but important. So that external zone is a distraction zone. So that's where I'm bored, I'll turn on the internet, or I'll go and make a cup of tea. So this is distraction mode. Then there's delusion, where, I don't know, example, I should have made 20 sales calls today and I've only made 15, but don't worry, I'll do the rest tomorrow. That's delusion. Then there's the demand zone, where things are urgent, so the phone is ringing, but it wasn't actually important. Or it might be a genuine urgency. A customer's called and it's urgent, and I actually need to be there. But then in the middle is the zone. And the zone is where things are not urgent, but they are important. And that is where we do we focus time on marketing, training ourselves and our team, working the systems of the business, holidays, exercise. That stuff is the stuff that actually makes a difference. And when we get into super productivity mode, that's where we spend 60% of our time in the zone. So again, just to become aware of the things that you do, where are they and what are they? Because when you're in the zone, that's when the difference really happens for you. Next little point here is removing bricks. Now, bricks is what I call little things that are nagging. So, I don't know, if a light switch that's broken, you haven't fixed it in ages. Or there's maybe a bill that you've not gotten around to paying yet. Or your wife has asked you to stick up a painting on the wall and you've not done it yet. Buying the Christmas presents, birthday gift, whatever it is, it's little things that are constantly nagging, and they're like bricks on top of you, and they're weighing you down. But because you weigh it down like that, you're losing energy. So what you want to do with this is go and make a list of all your bricks, then rank them from what's going to make the biggest impact if you do it. So the most impactful, the most important ones at the top, and then plan on getting rid of those bricks. And do this before you get into your proper big goals, because if you've got this weighing you down and you want to focus on your goals for your business and your life, you actually haven't got the energy for it. So go and remove the bricks. And that takes us to decision making as well, because one of the reasons why we have so many bricks sometimes is because of not making big decisions. So here's a decision making matrix that's really powerful. We have 3 types of decisions: major, medium, and minor. Now, major decisions is, I don't know, they happen maybe twice or 3 times a year, if so many times, and they're life-changing decisions. You know, am I going to move from South Africa to the UK? I'm going to move country. It's a big decision. Medium decisions they make an impact, but they're not life-threatening. So medium is, should I sell my shares? Should I move house? They're medium decisions, and they want a bit of time to think about it. And then minor decisions, that's where, and the percentages there are where it would be good to have it right. So a major decision would be good to have right 85% of the time. Medium decisions would be good to have 50% right. Minor decisions, quite frankly, if you get them right 25% of the time, it's now the end of the day. So in the morning, should I wear a blue shirt or a red shirt? Well, and what happens is that a lot of people get hung up and waste time in the minor decisions. Now, should I for lunch have a burger or sushi? Well, quite frankly, pick whatever is first on the list. It's a minor decision. If you get it wrong, so what? So decision-making matrix, very important as well, because this is where a lot of time can be wasted. Next big thing, focus is the key to success. And the old saying, a man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. So again, look at your life right now within your business, your personal life. If you're focused on too many things, you don't actually catch anything. Because with magnifying glass, if we take the sun's rays, magnifying glass, we can start a fire. It really is that powerful. And this brings us to this one. It's where we want to shift focus. We're going to ask ourselves, there are 3 major elements to my business. Call it sales and marketing, operations, and support. So operations, we're actually doing the stuff. Support is your finance and your HR and whatever else. Sales marketing generates the business. And for each part of the business, what is my percentage time that I focus on that specific part? So take a pen and paper and write this down right now. For those 3 elements, how much time are you spending at the moment on each one of those elements? Take a while here, so 5 seconds for that. And then next to that number, write down a different number time should I be spending on this? And we probably want sales or marketing to be definitely higher than 50%, even as close to 70%, because that's where it makes a real difference for you. Another concept is theming your days. So this is where you look at your weekly calendar and you decide for yourself that, I don't know, Mondays are meeting days, Tuesdays are sales days, Wednesdays are creative days, whatever it might be for you, but where you theme a day so that on that day you can walk in the morning and today's focus is blah, whatever it might be. It will double, triple, quadruple your productivity. I promise you that. The next one, about managing your energy, not your time. So it's an interesting one that the more energy we have, the more we're able to do in our businesses and our lives. And the question I'm going to ask you is, if you had to write down this right now, 3 things that if you did more of this, you would have more energy, what would those things be? So take about 5 seconds for that. Write down 3 things that would give you more energy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then again, I'm going to ask you to actually type this into your little chat box there, so we can see, or into the question box. So share some of the things that will give you more energy, so we can share this with the audience and we can see what works for other people as well. So I'm waiting for some answers here. So the first one's coming through there from Tony. Exercise. Yeah, absolutely. And waiting for some more people to type in their answers there of what would give you more energy. Okay, we've got diet, people-facing stuff, not screen-facing. Yeah, absolutely. Getting out there and seeing people. And a few more. Eating healthy. Yeah. Having more own time. Meditating. Yeah. Get excited about the plan. Yeah. So there's a few coming through there. So definitely, 3 things that give you more energy. Ask yourself what they are, and then again, stick that into your diary. And when you look at your weekly plan, stick it into your diary, because if we don't diarize it, it doesn't happen. And when we do diarize it, chances are really excellent that it will happen. So this next screen, I'm going to make another statement here, and that is that there is a direct correlation between how fit you are and how much success you're having in your business. And if we're to rate your fitness levels right now, 0 to 10, 0 being I'm completely unfit, 10 being I'm super fit. So you do that rating first, and then you do another rating. How happy am I with my business? How good is my business doing? How successful am I? 0 to 10. There is a direct correlation between your fitness levels and your business success levels. And the first time I came across this, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But the more I study successful people in business, in all aspects of life, presidents and prime ministers run countries. Going back to someone like Nelson Mandela as an example, that guy went jogging every single morning. He was a boxer. Fitness is vitally important. And therefore, 2013, if it's something that you've not gotten around to yet, I'd highly recommend that you figure out a fitness plan for yourself, because it makes a big difference. And it gives you so much more energy, and you feel good about yourself. So let's do another poll here. Here it is. I exercise regularly, I have loads of energy, and I feel good about my body. So let me just find this one and launch it. So a yes or a no here. So let's take 5 seconds just to answer this poll and see what the answers come up with. So 5, 4, results here. 100% of the audience this morning say no. Oh! Well, the good news there is that the minute you start doing an exercise program and get out there, and you know what? I'll share something with you as well. Let me just hide this top quickly so you can see my screen again. Because for me personally, I have never liked exercise. I mean, at school I played sports, but probably more because I was forced to do it. But I've never had a passion for exercise until I came across this concept that the more energy you have, the better your business does. And it's incredible how that works. It's just not just your business, your whole life. And one of the things that I personally decided on was this next screen, a home personal trainer. So I looked in the Yellow Pages, my area, and I typed in personal trainer, and I found a number of personal trainers. They come out to your house. And I'll tell you, my personal trainer, it cost me something like £200 a month. This guy is big, and he comes to my house with all his equipment, and he comes twice a week. And for me and my wife, at the moment, we've got a baby that's 5 months old, and another one that's, well, a kid that's 2.5 years old. So we've got a young family. So, you know, coming or finding excuses why we shouldn't go to the gym, we can come up with 100 of those very easily. But when the personal trainer comes to my house, and he arrives on a Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock, when the kids are asleep, I have no excuse. He's knocking on my door. I can't not let him in. So it really works very, very well. And for the price of it, you know, it's in the bigger scheme of things, neither here nor there. And for the energy that I gain from it, it's just a massive, massive, massive gain. So if you hate exercise as much as I used to, then consider something like this. It's just such a great investment. Again, going back to invest in yourself, because when you invest in yourself and you are energized and going for it, it makes all the difference to everyone around you and your business. As a result, your finances. And the better your finances are, quite frankly, the better your life is. So here's another client of mine, Jerry. His company is called The Creative, based in Sheffield. And, you know, Jerry is, well, he loves exercise, but he's, and I think it's probably natural fit as well, but whether he's going up a mountain or he's cycling, he's just so super fit, this guy. And again, you know, his company, based in Sheffield, but they've been on that recommended agency registered top 100, which means they're one of the top 100 marketing agencies within the UK. And they've been there for, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 years on that list. And again, this guy has so much energy, just keeps on going all the time. It's incredible. And the results show in his business and his life. Now, this next concept, implementing 50-minute sprints. So this is where you look at your diary and you decide that, I don't know, I've got to prepare for this webinar or whatever it might be. There's something you've got to do. And you give yourself 50 minutes to complete it. And when you get into the habit of this thing, you start implementing, I don't know, 2 or 3 50-minute sprints in your day. So it's 50 minutes where you're not available for the telephone for any meetings. You're just going to, for the next 50 minutes, I'm just going to put my head down and rush through this. And it's incredible what happens to your productivity when you do this kind of thing as well. It's phenomenal. And actually, there's a law. It's called the Parkinson's law around this, which says give yourself time limits for certain jobs. So this links into that kind of thing as well. And actually, in my own office, I put a saying on the one wall, and it says, I race against myself. Because when you give yourself severe time frames and you race against yourself, your productivity just shoots through the roof. Now, this concept of 80-20, most of you are probably familiar with it, and it says, you know, if you look at a list of 100 things, 20 things in there is going to make a real impact, and the other 80% it just takes up time in a way. And that applies to loads of things in life, whether if you look at your client list or your customer list, probably 20% of them are responsible for 80% of your results, you know, or your staff, 20% of your staff produce 80% of your results. It's everywhere when you start looking for it. But the question we could ask ourselves as business owners, if I only had to work 2 hours per day, what would I do? And take the time right now, pen and paper, and write the answer for yourself for this. If you only had to work 2 hours a day, what would you do? We'll take about 10 seconds for this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and the next question is, if you only had to work 2 hours per week, what would you do? And again, take about 10 seconds to figure this one out. If you only had to work 2 hours per week, what would you do? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because what these two questions do is they focus us. They really ask us, what is actually important that makes a difference in my world? And that's the stuff that I want to do more of. Now, the next thing is law of control. So this has to do with happiness. As much as I'm in control of my world, my business, my relationship, whatever it might be, when I'm in control, and I feel in control of my destiny, I'm happy. And when I don't feel in control, that is when I feel unhappy. And much of what we're chatting through here today helps you to gain control. So, going back to goals now. So, the first question when we look at our goals for the next 90 days is, well, what do I choose to achieve in the next 5 years? And it can be as simple as you write down, what do I want to do in the next 5 years? 5 years from now, what have I achieved? Where am I? And then we ask ourselves, okay, if we know where we're going to be 5 years from now, what is it that I want to achieve in the next year to be on track? So here we look at our 12-month goal. Now, I'm going to share with you, this bit here is really important, and it goes right back to those rocks that I mentioned right in the beginning. But the first time I came across this exercise, I thought, well, yeah, whatever. But when I actually did it, I was blown away by what a massive, massive impact it made on my life and on the life of my family. So a yearly overview, when you get a spreadsheet or a document like this, and you put in the year in there, and what you do is you put in your biggest rocks first. And when I talk about biggest rocks here, I'm talking about holidays, your fun times out. And when you sit down with your life partner and you do an exercise like this one evening, it's incredible what it does for your relationship as well. Because for me, my wife and I sit down and we go through, well, where's going to be our holidays? And we put it down, and by the time we finish the document, we are both very excited about, wow, I know I've got to work hard the next year, but you know what, there's all these holidays planned in, and it's really exciting, and we know when they're in, and suddenly it all becomes worth it. And that gives me energy for the whole year. And you don't burn out because you've got it planned in. So I'll show you an example. This is my actual one for this year. So on there you can see, the green ones are school holidays, which don't particularly impact my world as such. But the pink one, so because we've got the 5-month baby and the 2.5-year-old, going on long extended holidays isn't really part of our plan at the moment. But every month, Fiona and I have said we're going to go away for a weekend, and we'll arrange babysitting, which is her parents. So we go without the kids for a weekend. So in January, you can see in 19th and 20th January, Saturday and Sunday, we're away. So that's like a pinkish dot here. So you can see every month, February, March, April, May, not June, but July, August. So almost every month, there's a weekend away planned, which is quite exciting when you look at the year and think, okay, every month we're going away somewhere. Then the blue ones are our family holidays. And again, we've made a decision this year that we don't want to go on a long holiday, but a week break every now and then is good. So March is and we don't know where we're going yet, but the time is in the diary. March, June, August, a short one, and then in August we've got some family visiting from South Africa, so we'll be around, although it's their holiday. And then September is a short one. And then December and January, it's our intention to go to Florida for 2 months, which I'll still be working from there, but as far as the family is concerned, it's a family holiday. So, and then the red ones are, you can use Fridays, and that's where I take a day out, where it's my time to review the past month. What worked, what didn't work, what is my plans for this next month. And those are the biggest rocks. They're in there. It's done. Which gives me overview of the whole year. It's really fantastic. And when you do this thing up front, I promise you, it gives you so much energy and excitement. So if you haven't done something like this, take an evening out with your partner and do it. You'll be amazed at what it does for you and your family. It's really, really powerful. And this, quite frankly, is the biggest rock. It's one of the biggest rocks, because this is what feeds us and gives us the energy. So then going back to, okay, so we know what I want for the year. So for the next 90 days, what do I need to do to be on target? You write that down. And then also you theme your quarters. So for every quarter, and again, all these sheets I'm showing you now, if you want it afterwards, email me and I'll send it through to you. But all these, well, sorry, theme your quarter. So you start the quarter, what's my theme going to be? Income goal, 3 days goal, projects for the quarter. Again, on the one page, because it gives you this focus. And then that brings us to what do I need to focus on for the next week, and then for today, to bring me in alignment with my goal. Now, 2 tools that are very helpful. This one is called the weekly planner. Now, most people have their electronic calendars, their electronic diaries. And yet, if you take once a week, now whether it be last thing on a Friday afternoon, or maybe on a Sunday, and you take from your electronic calendar and you put it into a spreadsheet like this, the next week, just that process of taking the time out to put stuff into this diary, yes, it is a bit of a duplicate job, but the result is phenomenal, because again, you put it in here, and it gives you the opportunity to review your week, think it through, and your productivity will at least double when you use this thing. It's incredibly powerful. Also, this daily, this thing is involved over the years. I call it a daily to action sheet. And way back when it was a simple to-do sheet. But this is transformed in something that is incredibly powerful, because on the sheet, you'll see, for today's date, there's a major 5-year goal. Now, I write this sheet every single morning. So I print out a whole lot that's in my drawer here. Every morning, first thing I pull it out and I write it, or the last thing at night. My major 5-year goal, because this focuses my attention, where I'm actually going. Then my 5 major quarterly goals, I write them in there. And by writing every single day, you're thinking about it. Then top 3 priorities to achieve today, and I write it in there. So my focus and attention is at the top there. Then my productivity percentage today, so my aim, and what I've actually achieved at the end of the day. Then there's a to-do list, but this is the vital few, about 20% that actually makes a difference. And it's only space for a few in there. Then there's the other 80% that goes in there. Bottom is projects, so number 1, 2, and 3, and 5 big things that I can do to move this project forward, and I'll list them there. Then people I need to reach out to today, and people I'm waiting on. Now, this as a to-do list is incredibly powerful when you use it. And if you want this, then just email me afterwards and I'll get it back to you. Very, very powerful for focusing your attention on getting the important stuff done. So things to consider when compiling your plan. Don't commit to too much. Rather keep focused. Include both personal and business goals. Allow for catch-up weeks. 2 or 3 a quarter where you can catch up with yourself. Balance and you time, really important. And rewards. For us, me and my wife, those weekend aways are rewards. But for yourself, whether it be, I don't know, say a box of chocolates, but a night away, or going to the cinema, or taking some time out, whatever it might be, buying a watch. Give yourself rewards for achieving your goals. So you share it today because you want to get some ideas to hit the ground running in 2013. And also to learn how, when you tweak small things, it makes a big difference. And in addition, I hope you've also taken away from today the importance of creating your plan and for holidays at the start of the year. And also when you take control with the right tools, it starts giving you the results you really, really want. So an obvious question that you might have in your head right now is, well, yes, Rudy, this is great. Yes, pushing myself out of my comfort zone, this is a good concept. But, this whole business coaching thing, I'm not too sure about it, but I'd possibly like to find out more. And I'd say I offer complimentary 30-minute telephone coaching sessions. And in those 30 minutes, we'll focus specifically on your challenges within your business, and whether they're marketing related, can't find the right staff, time related. I'll give you specific ideas in those 30 minutes to help you, and ideas you can take away and actually implement in your business. And then at the end of 30 minutes, Now, if we find there's a match, then we can talk about taking it further, and if we don't, then we don't. But there's no strings attached to this. So I invite every one of you on this call right now, email me afterwards, and you're welcome to grab a complimentary coaching session. I'll spend the time with you. So that brings us to the end of today's webinar. And I just want to say, recognize your potential. Because quite literally, getting freedom from your business and hitting this ground running and making 2013 your best year ever is absolutely possible. Building a business that can give you freedom of money, can give you the freedom of time, and give you whatever you want is absolutely possible. It can be done. So I'll stay on for a few more minutes for any questions that might be. But for those of you who are logging off now, I wish you all the best and have yourself an awesome year. Okay, thank you so much, Tony. All right, so those are any questions coming in there. Like I said, if any of you want any of the tools, feel free to email me afterwards. I wish you all a fantastic day, fantastic week, and an amazing 2013. Bye for now.